Recording now.
Hello everybody, I'd like to welcome you to this Empower Amsterdam presentation, which is to introduce you to Strengths to Success and how to use the 5A step process to help you with your career. Firstly, I'd like to introduce myself, and my name's Lorraine Branch, and I'm a personal performance, career and strengths-based coach for Empower Amsterdam. This presentation will last roughly an hour, and I will be giving you suggestions throughout the presentation so that you can stop and think about some of the steps I've gone through to help you understand it better, and so you can actually start to use this in your daily life. So let me start. So what is StrengthScope? So StrengthScope is the world's most comprehensive system for mapping and developing one's strengths at work. It's an online assessment tool where you take the assessment and you're allowed to rate yourself on the top 7 strengths that are suggested, and it allows you then to have 15 people to give feedback on those strengths. So you get a really good overview. It's not about how you see you're using those strengths, it's how do other people, which is great in a working environment. It allows you to adapt and continue with learning. And it's the only certified assessment tool in the British Psychological Society. So it's quite exciting. So it was created by James Brooke and Paul Brereton, and Paul is an expert in organisational development and cultural change, and James is an expert in innovative assessment methods. So understanding our strengths will improve our performance at work, our confidence and engagement levels. So understanding your work-related strengths can be of great benefit to us all. So defining strengths. So underlining qualities that energize you and that are great to have. So these are things, if you look back at your childhood, you'll find that you were doing things, for instance, I love people. So I was always interacting with the children, and that's something I've always done all my life. I loved the energy of being with people. So it's energy, strengths are things that like gives you energy, you enjoy doing, and something that actually motivates you. So it reflects our passions, our values, and enables us to perform at our peak, whether it's in good times or in bad times. We have our strengths there so that we can call upon them at any time. So first of all, I know we're going into this quite quickly, into the first exercise, but what I'd like you to do with what I've just mentioned about thinking about the past, I'd like you to think about a time when you were performing at your best, you felt totally energized and absorbed in the work you were doing. So for example, it could be, as I mentioned, I like people. So one of mine is relationship building. I'm also very compassionate. And that's something I've always had from a child. So when I'm engaging in relationships or I'm being compassionate with people, that makes me feel totally energized when I'm absorbed in the work that I'm doing. So what I'd like you to do is, pause the video now and actually think about this exercise. Take a couple of minutes. It's always good because it will help you when we move forward in the exercise, and it gets you prepared because we don't have a report. You haven't done the assessment yet, but this will help you get into the right state so that we can move forward and you can understand better what's going on. So why did I ask you to look back on something when you were performing at your best? What happens when we look back at the past, we gain a deep understanding of what our positive patterns are. And what we can do then, we can look at how can we do more of those in the future in any of the roles that we participate in. Okay, moving on. Who's it for? Well, Strength Scope is for anybody who was interested in improving their performance at work or looking for a new career. By understanding your strengths, you can look at which areas of organisations or what part of a job would you enjoy doing going forward, based on, you know, where you can utilise your strengths more. Within organisations, it helps them improve productivity. So within an organisation, you look at individuals, you can look at teams, but it's also for the leaders. How can the leaders start to focus on their strengths? So by understanding how effective you are by using your strengths, also understanding how others see you using those strengths is great information, and it also allows you, again, to look at, are you using your strengths in the right way? Again, please pause and just think about, where could you use this tool? Where would this be useful for you or in your company? So as mentioned, the 5 A's development pathway. By using this systematic approach through the 5 stages of development, allows us to build the story of our career. Path of possibility. Having a positive mindset is key to achieving peak performance. It's important to know where you are at any point in any time, so that you can start to change direction or change your thoughts if needed. So, for instance, something's not going quite well at work, you know, people start thinking negative thoughts, and not only about that particular topic or that subject you're actually working on at the time. Those thoughts can creep into other areas of your work. So these are the things that you need to stop and start to think of, no, focus on, what have I done good? What can I do well? Start to trust yourself a bit more, create more positive emotions. And this comes and helps with a sense of powerfulness. So another short exercise, if you pause the video, sit and think about your working week last week, and where did you actually spend your time? Where were you spending a good 3/4 of your time? Were you focused on the path of possibility, or were you focusing more on the limitations? And you know, I think it's a good idea for everybody, you know, periodically during your day, perhaps start of the afternoon, sit back and take a couple of minutes to think, okay, so this morning, how am I feeling now? And was I on the right path this morning? Did I think, yeah, I'm focusing on the possibilities, what I can achieve, or were I focusing on my limitations? And then you can start your afternoon by, in a positive vein, you've changed your attitude, you're focused, and you can move on. Aspirations. It's interesting, our career is, you need to think of it as an adventure. It's not like we start one job and we sit in the same job for years. Many people change their careers, and it's always good to identify what you want to achieve and what goals will help you within your career and your development. It's also interesting, you know, don't wait for things just to happen. Take control of where you want your career or your life to go. Don't get caught up in the wave of, you know, everybody in my team is starting to move. Perhaps I should too. That's not a good way. It's important for you to actually think about what you want. You need to create accountability, and you need to focus on, you know, what are the next steps? What are going to take you and so that you can reach that goal you've just set yourself. Picturing success will help you hit your goal. If you can visualize yourself achieving your goal, your brain then starts to work and form ways of how can you actually achieve that goal. Think of an athlete. For instance, Usain Bolt. I'm sure he visualized himself winning the 100 meters long before he actually won it. Yeah. So the visualization really helps your body to get into that I can do this mode. This is what I want. And shoot for the moon. And if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. And that's not a bad place to be. So building awareness of your strengths. When I talk about strengths, everyone thinks, oh yeah, that's all rosy, a nice garden. But actually, it's about a balance. Strengths scope is not only focusing on, oh yeah, all the nice things you do. It really looks at, how can we keep these strengths in balance? Yeah. And, your strengths can also become a weakness. So it's about understanding how a particular strength could go into and become a weakness. We're all in this society where everyone focuses in what we're not good at. So it's automatic in your perhaps annual reviews. It will be, you did this, but we'll brush over the things you do well. Let's just move on and try and fix those things that you do bad. But what I like about the strengths, if you're doing what you enjoy, those weaknesses, and you understand what you're not so good at, then you look at balancing and how can you prevent those risks. Also, performance risks are things that drain us. So again, understanding your strengths, you also understand what takes energy away from us, and that's also key. Also understanding your values and the skills which help you make these career decisions. Our values guide our life choices and also within our career. It's good to understand what our transferable skills are. So, studies show that we can achieve more success at work if we spend the majority of our time playing to our natural strengths. So it's about, creating our own sort of brand, and that's in respect to what people think of us, and also the values that we believe we bring to work and the relationships. An exercise you could do, again, you could pause the video. And another good exercise, if you're not quite happy at work and you think, I'm not quite sure if I fit into this organisation, or you're looking to move to an organisation, a good exercise to do is to create a list of, if you know your strengths, a list of strengths, a list of your values, and also a list of the company values, and then look at them and think, do they match? Because sometimes people are not quite understanding why they don't actually enjoy working at an organisation. And it could be as simple as their values don't match. Yeah, it could be that simple. I like people to be honest and open. And it could be that although the company is saying they're honest or they're open to hearing what people have to say, that they actually don't do that in practice. So that's sort of like, it's a mismatch with values. So you really, sometimes need to look at how do they match and how's that going to help you. So I hope that exercise is useful. It will take a little bit of time, but I think it's really worth doing. So action, what do we mean by action? So it's about optimizing and stretching your strengths. So you need to have a clear mission. working with your values, your skills, and, you know, the knowledge that you already have, you know, so that you can actually create the next level, which will actually take you into that next zone. And what do I mean by zone? You know, it's where you're stretching your strengths, but it's also about, don't make the challenge too easy, because we all know if it's easy, then we're never going to do it. Yeah. Oh, I can do that anytime. It doesn't matter. You sit back, and you know what? Weeks turn into months, turn into years, and you've still not achieved it. And it's still on your to-do list. So, but it's also on the other end of the scale, don't make it too hard, because if it's too hard, oh, I can't do that. So again, it's about balance. You know, getting out of your comfort zone doesn't mean you've got to go from 1 to 10 in the first step. It really is about taking it one step at a time. Yeah. So, you know, yes, I've achieved that first step. Yeah, great. You know, and it gives you confidence. I can get out, you know, dipping your toe into the water, you know, taking that, yeah, the water's not too cold. Perhaps I can put my whole leg in. Yeah. So it's about building that. We all do that when we go to the beach. Yeah. Is that water really cold? You sort of start off gingerly, and then you jump in. So it's also about, you know, looking at the adult learning model. So it's about 70% of experience, you know, looking at what experience can you create within your organization, or can you find within your organization that will actually start to stretch you a little bit. You know, find assignments that take you a little bit out of your comfort zone. You've got the knowledge, you've got the skill, you just haven't had the practice. So, and then it's about 20% of engagement. You know, engage a coach, engage a mentor, you know, whether it's inside or outside of your organization. You know, sometimes it's good to have someone to lean on, someone that's can help you. It's not wrong to ask for help. And then 10% of, you know, education. You know, what do I actually need? What am I lacking? You know, I want to do that project. I know it will stretch me, but I don't actually have the knowledge. So it's about, what type of learning can I do to make me more effective? So, and then so that's the stretching, that's the optimizing, that's the stretching your strength. But then what can you be doing to reduce the performance risks? So it's about, when you've done the report, you'll have feedback, and, you know, that feedback from people where they see you using one of your strengths too much. For instance, I'm very enthusiastic. I love talking about strength scope, and I just love life in general. I love my sports. But sometimes if I'm talking to someone that's never done strength scope, doesn't know what it is, or is not a sports person, it's really hard if you come in when you're 150% enthusiastic and energetic, and that's actually off-putting to the other person. So it's about thinking about, okay, so for me, I have empathy and I have compassion as a strength. So it's about, okay, how can I start to use those strengths to help me reduce my enthusiasm strength? So I look at the people, I look at their faces and think, oh, they're not comfortable. Okay, so I can then start to tone down my enthusiasm. So I'm at a level with the people, and I can start to build the engagement, build the enthusiasm within them when I'm talking about the topic. Yeah. So, you know, when you're reducing the performance risks, again, it's about what I just mentioned, dialing down your strengths, talking to others that possibly have the same strength as you, and finding out tips and tricks. What do they do to stop them going into overdrive with their particular strengths? And also developing new skills, new habits. It's also about performance risks, also about internal performance risk. You know, what are our limiting beliefs? What's stopping us from moving forward? It could also be about, you know, what's happening in the organization. Do you not get on with your manager? You know, there's also clashes in those areas. So it's quite a big range, and it's a nice area to dive into and get a lot out of it. So take a few minutes to think about that. There's a lot of information there while I move on to the next slide. Agility. I mentioned before about, using your strengths, and, it's about keeping a balance. And I understand where my strengths go into overdrive. But that comes with practice. If you've always been an enthusiastic person, and if you don't realize how you're affecting others and nobody tells you, that's also something that we need to learn. It's if it's not pointed out to you, then you'll carry on doing it. So and also, you need to think about, why do I get mixed feedback from colleagues? I don't understand the feedback. I'm doing what I need to do. I get some negative feedback. Or it could be in your performance reviews, and also not getting the right feedback, which is stopping you progressing to the next level you want to. So, and it could be that you're unknowingly using your strengths too much. So again, it's about balance. And again, moving out of your comfort zone, setting smart goals. Yeah, they need to be specific. They need to be measurable, achievable, relevant to what you want to achieve, time bound, and also strengths based. If you're using your strengths to achieve a goal and you've got all the others in place, then there's no reason why you can't achieve it. So, think about now, again, another exercise, take time to think about, what kind of feedback am I getting from my friends, from my colleagues, and allowing you to then use that information to sort of stretch yourself, but in a way that's not negative to others, but also which is detrimental to yourself, which is going to stop you. And think about it. Your career, it's not just about having one job for a lifetime. And there's nothing wrong with people having one job. We're all made differently. But your job will evolve, it will change, your organization will change. And if you can understand your strengths, it will allow you to adapt more easily to any changes that will happen within your role. Which sometimes people get really, uncomfortable with. Some people don't manage change very well. And knowing your strengths will help you with those changes and allow you to keep in balance and stretch a little. For me, achievement is the most important part of goal setting, because the goal at the beginning is for us to achieve that. That is what we're aiming for. We want the gold medal, whether it's within your work. You've set yourself to become a manager or a team leader, or within a sporting environment. You want to be the best. And we mentioned about, stretching ourselves, but it's about taking one step at a time. And it is important for our motivation to allow ourselves to actually sit back and celebrate those steps. You might have 10 steps into achieving your goal, but every step is important. And if you can sort of celebrate that first step at achieving, you'll be surprised how much you will get from that. It will give you confidence. It will spur you on. It will give you that extra fire you need and belief to get to the next step. And you know what? That will keep building and keep building. And it's important to understand, what you achieved in that step, but also, you know, what skills, what knowledge, you know, what did I use? So write it down. What did I use to achieve that for a particular step? Because then you can look back at it, okay, so the next step, what can I be using from what I've just learned about myself to help me to move in and propel myself to the next goal? Yeah. Share your successes. Don't keep it to yourself. You know, that's also part of it. You know, allowing, you know, you might think, oh, well, I've achieved it, but perhaps it's, you know, nobody else will think that's quite a step, but it is. You know, share it with colleagues, share it with your friends, share it with family, you know. Treat yourself. You know, if you think to yourself, Starbucks, I only go there on special occasions. Well, this is a special occasion. You've achieved a goal. You've managed to achieve something you didn't think you would be able to. So go to Starbucks, treat yourself to a coffee, you know, treat yourself to that lovely muffin you walk past every day. You know, sit down and have it, you know. Open a bottle of wine you've been waiting, you've got in the cupboard. You think, oh, I need a special occasion to open it. Well, now's that time. Yeah. And I mentioned at the beginning about, you know, where are you on your path? Are you on a path of possibility, or are you on a path of negativity? So having that inner self-belief, that inner strength, which comes from being on your positive path, is also needed at this time. You know, we all have, any time during the day, we have two voices in our head. We have the voice of strength and we have the voice of limitation. Yeah. So what you need to do, it really is about dialing down and turning off the volume of the voice of limitations. And what better way to do that than that voice of success? You know, that voice telling you, wow, you've achieved it. And as soon as you hear the other one going, no, you can't. Yes, I can. I've got it. You know, look at that book, create an achievement book, you know, of all your successes, big and small. And on the times when you can feel that negative voice just creeping louder than the voice of positivity, start reading that book, start looking at those achievements and start building that sense of achievement. Shoulders back. You know, you can see people that are positive. They don't sit like that, you know, oh yeah, I've achieved this. No, they sit shoulders back. Yes. And people can see, wow, that's a person that succeeds in life. Shoulders are back. They believe in themselves. Everyone can do it. It's not just for a few. Everybody can do that. So, you know, again, take time now and sit back and think of what you've achieved, whether it was last week, last month, or last year. All these successes will help you, all the learning from them about yourself, about the skills you learn, and about what strengths you've identified throughout this, this workshop. Hopefully, you know, it will help you going forward and give you you've now built the momentum to actually create, you know, future successes. So the last exercise that I want you to think about is, now that we've gone through, you know, what strengths are and how, you know, we can be de-energized or, you know, within a situation, I'd like you to think about part of the job that you're currently doing that you really enjoy doing, you know, and think of it on the lines of, this part is a strength to me. This, yeah. So you can start to identify which areas of strength, and then think about a part of your job that you don't feel so nice, you don't enjoy doing, leaves you feeling drained. And this can be, you can look at this and think, okay, it's not that I'm not good at it, but it's something that doesn't energize you. For example, I love people. To me, when I'm helping people, interacting, I love my coaching, gives me energy. I could take on the world. putting me in front of a computer 40 hours a week, just filling in a spreadsheet would drain me. I would just have no energy to do anything. And don't get me wrong, it's not about, oh, life is all hunky-dory, we just do all the things we like. No, it's about balance. It's about balance. Doesn't mean to say I can't work on spreadsheets, but it's about knowing what ratio to have. So for me, with a learning and development background, working in a corporate environment, yes, I love the classroom, but I also am aware that I need to do the paperwork. You know, I need to fill in the spreadsheets. I need to look at the feedback. But it's about balance. And I know that I'm going to have this. I'm going to have the people part, interacting with teams. What are they going to be needing? But I also need to know that. So, but it is about, you know, trying to do a little bit more of the things I love than the things I don't. So it's balancing your week. Yeah. So strengths isn't all about, oh, it's only this shiny thing. I have to only think about strengths. No, it's about, we need to be realistic. Yeah. And we know we can't do everything we love all of the time. So start to think about this, and it will give you a better understanding. And take a good 5-10 minutes. You know, you really need to think about it. It's not a rush job. So, you know, and share with others, you know, that work with you perhaps. You know, what do you think? Do you see this as a strength of mine? Or, yeah, so a really good exercise to do. So I mentioned to you about, you know, what is strengths. And I mentioned about this wheel of 24. And this is actually, when you take the assessment, this is what you will see. And as you can see, it's split into 4 quadrants. So emotional, relational, execution, and thinking. So for me personally, this isn't my report. This is just a test report. But for me, if you could see this as my report, you would see the pink lines, which are your top 7 strengths. Everyone has all of the strengths, but depending on your personality and who you are, the strengths, the lines will be different. And for me, my lines are all in the top half. So in the emotional, in the relationship. So I get all of my energy from people. And as you see at the bottom half, so the thinking and the execution, this particular person's report shows that they are very task orientated. But it doesn't mean to say that they can't do the other. They don't have emotional control, or they don't have optimism. It just means to say that, you know, that's where, when they took the assessment, that's where their strengths are. And you will find, I mentioned at the beginning about our inner child, your strengths don't really change. You might get one of these, perhaps 2 change, and what they do is they don't become a low line. They will then become, they will then just swap. So for instance, in the relationship one, you'll see the persuasiveness blue line and the leading next to it. So perhaps the 2 of them switch places. It again depends on the role you're doing at the time. So what's going on. So sometimes the environment around you can influence that slightly. But for the rest, you know, I've always been a people person, so that will never change. I also mentioned to you earlier about, you know, things that drain us. And when you're looking at the report, this is something you can see. So you can see here the bubbling under, so the persuasiveness one, the long blue line, and also the developing others. They're very long blue lines. And these are what we call bubbling under strengths. So they're close to our top 7. And these are things that you can actually, because they give you more energy than de-energizing you, you can still call on them in situations. So again, it's about what strengths do I have that I can call on to help me balance what I'm doing at the time. And things like de-energizing are the very, very small blue lines. So here you can see, what's that? Results focused, And it doesn't mean to say that, you know, you can't do it, you can, but being constantly, you know, concentrating on the result, only the result, can drain certain people. So, you know, it's good to think about, you know, does it just drain me? Or there's a difference between not being good at something and something that actually drains you. I mean, people have careers where, you know, they become accountants and, you know, it's great, but sometimes, but they don't understand, you've chosen this career, but why do I always feel drained at the end of the week? And actually, if you look at your strengths, it could be that's not something that naturally energizes you, even though you love the idea of this particular job. So, you know, it's good to look at, you know, and it can affect various areas of your life. So achieving peak performance is about balance. You know, it is about knowing what your strengths are and building on those, and the bubbling under strengths, how can you utilize those? You know, and then it's looking at the risks. What does it look like to use your strengths in overdrive? You know, what are the things that drain you? You know, what interference is there, you know, coming from within, you know, the inner belief, but also interference outside, you know, within your organization, the people you're working with. So, you know, well, there's tools that we can use to help you get back into balance. So we've now come to the end of my presentation. I'd like you to, one of the last things I'd like you to think about is a quote by Oscar Wilde, and I love this quote. So when I used to deliver this in the training room, I would have on the whiteboard, be yourself, because everyone else is taken. So please don't think the person next to you, because you're doing the same job, that you have to be the same as that person. No. You are unique. You have unique strengths, and that's special. So think about just being yourself. Allow yourself to shine. So I've come to the end of my presentation. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's not too long. If you are interested in taking a strengths scope assessment, or you have any questions regarding any of the slides, you want clarity, then please contact me. My email address is there, my LinkedIn profile. I'm willing to share with you additional information. So again, thank you. Have a great week, and remember, where are you? Stay on the path of possibility. Thank you. Goodbye.